rooting for tonight?
I'm rooting for everybody black. I am.
Have a good time.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into my channel where I talk about true crime, controversial events, historic, figures, anything that I'm pretty much interested in at the moment, we're gonna talk about. Don't forget to take a look at my other previous videos and subscribe, join the family. We can't forget today, I got a different look going on because I didn't want to do my hair, so that's why I just put this wig on. I don't know. Tell me if y'all like it or not. We gonna work with it. So today, this is the first episode for top female gangsters that I've really found interesting. I feel like when we, think about notorious gangsters, they're mainly men and we don't really know much women. And I've always been interested in general with the Mafia, mob bosses, American gangster. But why not focus on the women? So today we have a notorious female gangster known as Queenie Madame St.Clair, aka Stephanie St.Clair. Yeah. She was born in December 24th, 1897, actually the day of my birthday. I'm a December 24th baby.
So I just want to say hey, and that I'm here to stay. And you're going to be mad every day. Success.
And Stephanie St.Clair was born of mixed French and African descent in the Guadeloupe, West Indies, to a single mother. And like most single moms, she wanted to give Stephanie a great life. But unfortunately, by the time Stephanie turned 15, her mother became extremely ill. She had to leave school, so she was employed as a maid by a rich family where she was repeatedly raped by the son. She managed to save, some money, and after the death of her mother, she finally left Guadeloupe in 1912. And even though she could read and write, a rare quality for black women, at the time, she could not find decent employment. But she was ready, to get out of France. I can't blame her. So she used a long voyage and subsequently quarantined to learn English so she can get around. So she arrived, to America and settles in Harlem in 1911. So she's out here living her best life in America, trying to have the American dream. She definitely had a lot of admirers. I mean, sis was beautiful, so I don't doubt that a lot of men, adored her. She fell in love with a small-time crook in Harlem, Duke, who soon tried to prostitute her. And Stephanie became so enraged, she stabbed a fork into his eye. But that's not funny. So she was, she was insulted. This heifer wants to prostitute me. I don't even get down like that. And I'm sure when his eye was busted, he knew, she was with all the smoke. She was no nonsense. And, she continued to give several men, the business. He wasn't the only one. So she also stabbed her first boo in the eye with a fork when he tried to pimp her out. And she definitely fled the scene because she wasn't trying to get caught. But that same night on the bus, when she was trying to get away, she was stopped by the Ku Klux Klan and she was raped again. And for me, for a group of, people not to like us, they sure keep bothering us, but whatever. So there's another boyfriend named Ed who died after trying to choke her, and he hit his head on a table after attacking her, and he eventually died. And also there was another man she dated, a fiery black militant, and cult leader. She was arrested and imprisoned for attempted murder, to which she allegedly responded in her defense, "If I had wanted him dead, he would be dead." And honestly, I believe her. If she wanted to take him out, she would have done that. So clearly she wasn't scared of men, period. She wasn't a timid woman. And I mean, she dealt with a lot of trauma, being raped back to back, so I'm sure she had a lot of built up anger inside, also losing her mom at a very young age. So I feel like she grew up, to take no nonsense. But Stephanie was also about her money.
Tell them to bring me my money.
when she left New York, the first time for stabbing her first man in the eye, Duke, she went back to New York, but she later learned that Duke had been shot in a fight between gangs. So after 4 months, she decided to start her own business selling controlled drugs with the help of her second boyfriend, Ed. The one that she pushed so hard that he cracked his skull open. Yeah, him. The only reason why that situation escalated was because Stephanie was making, her own money. So she tried to tell, Ed, look, thanks for helping me, but I want to leave and I'm starting my own business. So he tried to actually kill her and she pushed him and eventually, he died. So for months afterwards, she employed her own men, bribed cops, and on April 12, 1917, she invested $10,000 to $20,000 of her own money in a clandestine lottery game, in Harlem. And as a result of her success running one of the leading number games in the city, she became known throughout Manhattan as, Queenie, but Harlem residents referred her to as Madame St.Clair. So the numbers game was like policy banking and a mixture of investing, gambling and playing the lottery. Many banks at this time would not accept Black customers, so they were not able to invest legally. So policy banking wasn't technically legal, but it was the only way for Black individuals living in Harlem to invest, their money. In this way, she used the underground economy in Harlem to address race politics as well. At this time, the number games in Harlem was male dominated also, and St. Clair was one of the only women involved. St. Clair helped the Black community in Harlem by providing many, with jobs as number runners and other jobs within her business. Because of her success in the numbers game, she lived a very lavish life, making over $20,000 a year. In 1920, $20,000 was about $200,000 now to us. So sis was bossed all the way up. And not only was she about her money, she was definitely an advocate for the Black community and admired by many. She spent her money on any number of community projects and legally fund to help new French-speaking immigrants. She made sure that all her employees as well were dressed impeccably, and she made sure also that anyone from Harlem, they were going to be treated with respect and, be taken care of. And she lived in one of the most luxurious buildings in the neighborhood. There were people like C.J. Walker, W.E. Du Bois, many more that lived in the same building as she did. She also couldn't stand the police. Like, if they had the saying "F the police," she was the advocate for that. Like, she was known to put out ads in a local newspaper educating the Harlem community about, their legal rights, especially as it related to, police brutality, which in the 30s and 40s must have been really out of control, because it's out of control now, but then it was bad. So going so far as to run ads in the paper accusing cops of corruption. So they trumped up some charges on her, and she went to a workhouse for about 10 months. And after she was released, she testified to the Neighborhood Commission about the officers she paid off. Her testimony resulted in the firing of more than a dozen officers. So she was giving all these officers money under the table, and it actually backfired on those same officers, and they were eventually fired. Madame was definitely catching some attention from the Mafia, and it wasn't good attention at all. Gangsters like Duke Schultz and the Italian Mob needed new streams of revenue and moved in on Harlem because during this time, the 1930s, the Great Depression happened, and it caused the economy to tank dramatically. So when the economy tanked and white mobsters' profits began to plunge, they began, edging in on Harlem. None were more ruthless in this land grab, for Harlem than Dutch Schultz. So he began, making phone calls, threatening Madame kidnapping, and murdering her men, buying off select police, and even at one point got her arrested. But we all know Madame, she was with all the smoke. So she put out a loud and clear message. I'm not afraid of Dutch Schultz or any other man living who'll never touch me. And she sure did get revenge, because Dutch was out here trying Madame, threatening her, killing her men. So at one point, Dutch Schultz sent an underling to intimidate her. You know, she pushed the underling into a closet, locked him in, and called in 4 massive bodyguards to take care of him. She attacked and destroyed the storefronts of any business that ran Schultz betting operations. You know, she tipped the police off to Schultz operations, which led them to, you know, raiding his clearinghouse, arresting 14 employees, and seizing around $2 million. She then bragged about it in the press because she didn't care. You know, she was like,
and I did it, and y'all not gonna do nothing about it. I dare you.
She did not care at all. But this is when a lot of people felt like, you know, Madame Queenie, aka Stephanie, you know, is really about that action, because the news came, you know, around that later on Dutch Schultz was killed. He was actually shot in the stomach while on the toilet. And, you know, she dropped everything and rushed a telegram to his hospital deathbed, and it simply said, so you sow, so shall you reap. And she signed it, Madame Queen of Policy.
I'm petty, I'm petty, I'm petty, I'm petty, I'm petty, I'm petty, I'm petty.
She was like, look, I don't care if you're in your deathbed, you're gonna reap what you sow, and this is a little note from me. And, you know, after her beef with Dutch Schultz, you know, people were still concerned about Madame and wanted her, you know, to protect herself from harm or any death threats. And she actually put out a letter in the newspaper, and I'm gonna read it to y'all because it's not so clear. So she said, to the members of my race, many persons have said they are afraid for me and that I should be careful. I am not going to be any more careful than I have been. Please have no fear for me. I only ask that you listen to my advice and to do what I have told you. I have no fear of anybody. I respect everybody and shall expect respect from them. Enemies have telephoned almost every night and said they are going to give me a ride and bump me off. When they say such things over my private wire, I just laugh at them because such things sound silly and simple to me. My enemies are now planning to frame me by saying that I carry a gun on my possession. These and many more things they're planning to do, but they will have a hard job to be successful, because from 3 to 7 days before anything happens, I have a warning of it. In conclusion, we'll say that I am going to continue to fight until the members of the race get their just and legal rights. Madame Stephanie St.Clair.
Period poo.
So she was definitely, you know, very fearless. Like, she didn't care about what people, you know, thought. She knew, like, look, I have a message to send out. Black people, my people, don't worry, I got it. So she started to put out ads in the newspaper publicly stating where she was and what, you know, she was doing. So everyone had a record of it. In so doing, she had to keep her nose clean. And in the 1940s, she gradually stopped doing the number games and detached herself from, you know, the gang life, and ended up handing the reins to her protege, the terrifying, violent Bumpy Johnson, who ran things for many, many years and thereafter. With Johnson protecting her, you know, and Schultz dead, and a desire to keep her life on the straight and narrow, St. Clair transitioned into using her new public, you know, persona to advocate for she used her new public persona to advocate for, you know, political reform. And it was in this capacity that she met her future husband, Sufi Abdul Hamid, known in the press as Black Hitler. Hamid was an eccentric figure. You know, he wore a cape and turban. He was an African-American religious and labor leader, among the first African-American converts to Islam. So he was a very militant activist. He organized a campaign to boycott businesses that didn't employ blacks, and ran a mosque and claimed to have been born in Egypt, but he was actually from Chicago. The press took a dim view on him for, you know, his rabid and anti-Semitism. and Nazi-styled fashion, they gave him the nickname Black Hitler. I believe he thought he was the real Jew. There is information about Black people being, you know, the real-blooded Jew or the chosen people, but I'm not gonna go, you know, talk in depth about that now. Y'all could do research, and I have no problem, you know, putting a link in my description if you guys want to know more like about that, and you know, share your own opinions, and we can conversate, you know, we could conversate about it in the comment section. But Dom and Hamid marriage didn't last long because, you know, she shot him. Her usual business, as she usually does when she feels disrespected from a man, which I don't condone. I don't know why she stay having issues with the men. She got to stay away from these toxic relationships. Like, girl, I know it's hard, but they had a very like complex marriage. Hamid was supposedly cheating on her with a Black fortune teller who went by Fu Fatam, and she didn't even claim to be Black. You know, she said she was Asian, which is a weird flex. And her real name was actually, you know, Dorothy Matthews, but she went by Fu. So Hamid and Fu attempted to start a number of businesses using Madame's money. So this man was trying to get, you know, his city boys up 10. So when Madame heard this, you know, sis went crazy and she had enough. So she shot at him 3 times. And the closest hit was, you know, his teeth. Now, please don't be shooting at your husbands or boyfriends. I do not condone that. You know, you will go to jail. But, you know, she was arrested. She spent 10 years in the Bedford Hills Correctional Facility for women in New York. And while she was in prison, Harlem began a slow decline as outside forces, you know, began squabbling over it, with their efforts sapping the community of resources instead of reinvesting in it as Madame had done. So time was definitely changing, and after her arrest, her ex-husband married Fu Fatam, and he later died in a plane crash. So that's not even funny. But she was released from prison, and Madame continued her work in informing those in the community of their civil, you know, liberties. And I actually don't feel like she cared when he died. I don't think she cared. But she continued to write columns in the local newspaper about discrimination, police brutality, illegal search raids, and other issues facing the Black community. But y'all, you know, she ended up living a very quiet life and died quietly, you know, and still wealthy in 1969, shortly before her 73rd birthday. And I'm actually glad she did not die like drastically or like got shot or stabbed or murdered. Like, I'm actually happy about that, because usually, you know, gang related, you know, gangsters or stories or whatever, they die pretty drastic. So I'm actually happy that that did not happen to her. And years later, actually, Bumpy Johnson's ex-wife in an interview had some great words to say about St.Clair. She summed her up as a woman not afraid to kick off her heels and go toe-to-toe with any man or any woman insolent enough to insult her breeding and character. So clearly, you know, Madame was respected by many people. You know, Queen, aka Stephanie St. Clair, you know, she was a true female gangster and also an activist, and I really enjoy doing research about her. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did. I'm gonna do some more female gangster videos, you know, to this series, because I feel like they're overlooked, or, you know, there's not much like documentaries or movies about them. So I'll just go on and share some that I like. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.